Srimatre Namaha. With the divine blessings of our Mother Goddess Sree Lalita Sahasranama, we have been discussing about Shudda VidyankuraKara DwijaPankathi Dwayojwala. This Namam has been explained with a couple of great examples of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, Chandrasekhara Bharati of Sringeri Guru Sampradaya, and then Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Shuddha VidyankuraKara DwijaPankathi Dwayojwala. When a devotee starts walking the path of Shuddha Vidya is the absolute wisdom or the absolute education that leads to the one and only wisdom of the soul. Shuddha VidyankuraKara, when Shuddha Vidya or the absolute wisdom starts germinating in the soul of a devotee, then DwijaPankathi Dwayojwala. DwijaPankathi means the 2 rows. Dwayojwala means the 16 teeth on the top and the 16 teeth on the bottom jaws of Mother Goddess Sree Lalita Sahasranama. This number 16 is a representation of the Mahashodashi Mahamantra, which is one of the Bija mantras of praying to Mother Goddess Sree Lalita Sahasranama in the very secretive Sri Vidya Sampradaya. Now, many devotees have walked this planet. To name a few, Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan Sri Trilinga Swami, Bhagavan Sri Mahavatara Baba, Bhagavan Sri Dayananda Saraswati, Bhagavan Sri Devara Baba. Many saints have walked on this very land of Karma Bhuvi or the subcontinent of India and have realized the wisdom of the soul. That is a representation of Shuddha Vidya. As the epitome of the Shuddha Vidya or the absolute wisdom, one of the slokas of Advaita from Sri Rudram is Ishanam Sarva Vidyanam Ishwaram Sarva Bhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodipati Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sada Shivo. The most important line of the shloka is Ishwaram Sarva Bhutanam. That which is in me is also in you, but because of the illusionary Maya, I tend to differentiate myself from you and you tend to differentiate yourself from me. Because we don't tap into the inner source, rather we try and look at anything and everything possible to differentiate each other. Color, caste, creed, material riches, and anything else that we can tangibly count and qualify. As a continuation of the Shuddha VidyankuraKara DwijaPankathi Dwayojwala, today we'll talk about another great example and a divine story of how Shuddha Vidya can convert a fool into a realized soul. And this is such a powerful story that the devotee of whom we're going to discuss about, nobody knows what his actual name was. He was such a big devotee of Mother Goddess that his name itself became Kalidasa. And the story that we are going to talk about ages back to almost sometime in between 4 and 5 AD. This was the kingdom of Ujjain, where the king of Ujjain was blessed with a very beautiful daughter who was an extreme devotee of Mother Goddess, and her name was Vidyottama. Any Pandit who would visit the Ujjaini kingdom would always compete and debate with her in the scholastic and intellectual abilities and would eventually lose to her. So all the scholars who lost to Vidyottama in the scholastic debates formed a group, and they wanted to insult her by getting her married to a stupid or a fool. So all the scholars went around the Ujjaini Nagaram, and they saw a shepherd who was sitting on the branch and was chopping off the leaves and the twigs, and then he was such a stupid, he didn't realize after he picked up all the twigs and the leaves, he started severing the same very branch that he was sitting on. Therefore, in few minutes, crashing himself on the ground below. When the Pandits and the scholars looked at him, they ran to him and said, "We have never seen such a brave man. We want to gift you with something extremely beautiful and extremely rich. All you need to do is act as we say and don't open your mouth until you get what we promised you." Saying that, they took him to the kingdom in the disguise of a scholar. They dressed him like a scholar and took him to the court. And then they called upon the king and his daughter Vidyottama and explained to the king and Vidyottama that here is a scholar of uncomparable scholastic ability, and only he and he alone is fit to be Vidyottama's husband. So Vidyottama wanted to test him, and she showed her index finger at the yet to be named Kalidas, and Kalidas thought that she wanted to blind him in one eye, so he showed her both the fingers of his hand representing V, and then she showed her 5 fingers and the open palm to Kalidas, and Kalidas showed her a closed fist. So Vidyottama turned to the scholars asking what he meant. And then the scholars went on to explain that, Vidyottama, when you showed one finger, you meant there's only one Paramatma. But Kalidas, or the person who will be named Kalidas soon, showed 2 fingers saying there is Paramatma, but the Maya or the illusion of the world often makes it look like 2. Paramatma and the Jivatma. That is all of us. Then she said, I showed 5 senses by representing 5 fingers. What did he mean by showing me a fist? Then the scholars said, when you showed 5 senses, Kalidas showed, yes, all those 5 senses are controlled by the one and only Mother Goddess, the Panchatanmatra. All the Panchatanmatras are controlled by Mother Goddess. So that is what a fist represents. And then Vidyottama was convinced that he is the greatest scholar, and without saying a word, she got married to him. But right after the wedding, she realized what a stupid he was, but she did not complain. She bowed down to Mother Goddess, whom she believed in right from her birth, and said, this is an act of you, so you definitely have a great plan for me and my husband. Now it is your job and duty to convert him into a great scholar who will be unparalleled, who will not be compared or can never be compared with anyone else. Saying that, Vidyottama hugged her husband and said he should go to the Grihakalika temple in Ujjain, and once it's little after the midnight, go into the sacrosanct of the temple, close it, and in the early hours Mother Goddess will come back and try to enter the temple. after rounds. And at that time, he should not open the door and he should ask for Vidya, saying that Vidyottama sent her husband to the Grihakalika temple in Ujjain. Those of you who visited Ujjain or who are planning to visit Ujjain can still visit this temple now and see the very blessed temple in Ujjain. So Kalidas went to the temple and stood inside the sacrosanct, locked the doors, and around 3:30 in the morning, Mother Goddess MahaKavi, after finishing her rounds of Ujjaini Nagaram, returned back to the temple. And she tried opening the door, but the door was locked. She shouted, "Who is inside? Who locked the door?" For which Kalidas said, "I am inside and I don't want to open the door unless you give me what I want." Then MahaKali became little angry, but as a mother would consider, she smiled at his innocence on how he thought he can lock her out. Then she very smilingly asked, "Oh my son, what is that you want?" Then Kalidas said, "I need Bidya. Bidya." He couldn't even repeat the word Vidya. And then mother understood, and with a smile, she asked him to stick his tongue out in between the doors. And the moment Kalidas sticked his tongue out, she wrote the Mahabijas of Sri Vidya on his tongue. And then immediately the fountain of Shyamala Dandakam, which goes as Manikya Veena Mupalalayantim Madalasam Manjula Vagvilasam Mahendra Neelajuti Komalangim Matanga Kanya Manasasmarami Chaturbuje Chandrakalawatanse Kuchonnate Kunkumaraga Shone Pundrek Shupashankusha Pushpabanahaste Namaste Jagadeka Mataha. This Shyamala Dandakam immediately erupted out of Kalidas's mouth as a natural fountain of water would erupt out of a geyser. And this Shyamala Dandakam goes and talks about the origins of Mother, where she lives, how she appears, what is her true form. Though he was looking at MahaKali, he actually chanted the Rupam of Sree Lalita. In the Dandakam starting, it goes as Jai Janani Sudha Samudrantar Madhya Manidvipa Pasamruda Bilvatavi Madhya Kalpa Druma Kalpa Kalamba Kantara Vasapriye Kritti Vasapriye Sarvaloka Priye Jaya Matangatane Jaya Nilotpaladute Jaya Sangita Rasake Jaya Leela Shuka Priye Mata Markatashyama Matangi Madashalni Kuryat Kataksha Kalyani Kadamba Vanavasini. He goes to the roots of where Mother Goddess lives, how she is loved by all the worlds, and with a simple act of kindness, Mother Goddess wrote the Bija Mantras or the Bija Aksharas on the tongue of Kalidas, therefore blessing him with Shudda VidyankuraKara, Shudda Vidya. And nobody knows what his name was before. Ever since Kali blessed him, he became Kalidas. In Sanskrit, there's also an interesting story on why the ring finger is called Anamika. In the ancient times, when the scholars of Sanskrit wanted to list all the Sanskrit scholars, the little finger was opened to represent Kalidas. And then the second ring finger was called Anamika because there was nobody else to name after Kalidas. Even a distant second, there was no one. So that is who Kalidas is. And if Kalidas became Kalidas from a stupid shepherd that he was, that's because of his faith in his wife's words. And that's because of his wife's faith. And that's because of the kindness of mother. Similarly, when all the ignorant children, ignorant people like me, and pray to Mother Goddess with the single-mindedness of getting her kindness, her blessings, she will bless us just like a mother feeds a hungry child and when the mother blesses, it comes, the kindness comes like a flood. And this is another example of Shuddha VidyankuraKara DwijaPankathi Dwayojwala. All these devotees of Mother are represented by each tooth of Mother, and every time we talk about these great devotees of Mother who walked on this planet and this Karma Bhumi of India, Mother Goddess will be extremely pleased to listen and to hear us discuss about her great devotees who continue to reinstill faith from generations to come in the devotion, faith and tradition, which are the founding stones of our culture and Sanatana Dharma. Do stay blessed. Do take care. Sri Matre Namaha.